What if gravity suddenly stopped working? I'm going to put that theory to the test and see just how crazy things could get. Gravity is this incredible force that's always pulling us towards the Earth, keeping our feet on the ground, and what's really interesting is that we often take it for granted, until we think about what would happen if it just stopped. If gravity were to suddenly stop working, people would be lifted off the ground, floating around like feathers in the wind. Buildings would be in disarray, with furniture and appliances floating out of windows, crashing into the streets below. The environment would be drastically altered, with oceans, lakes, and rivers losing their boundaries, flooding the surrounding land. Trees would be uprooted, and the once blue sky would be filled with debris. Cars would be drifting away, and the sounds of panic and chaos would fill the air. As the minutes tick by, the situation would only get more intense, with the lack of gravity causing widespread destruction. People would be struggling to breathe, as the air would be filled with dust, debris, and pollutants. Communication systems would be down, making it impossible for people to call for help. The Earth's atmosphere would slowly drift into space, making it impossible for humans to survive. The planet would be transformed into a barren, lifeless rock, devoid of any life or vegetation. In this extreme scenario, the rules of physics as we know them would no longer apply, and the very fabric of our reality would be torn apart. Gravity is a fundamental force of nature, one that shapes our daily lives in ways we often don't even realize. The Earth's mass warps the fabric of space-time, creating a gravitational field that pulls everything towards its center. Without gravity, the very foundations of our existence would be turned upside down. The science behind gravity is complex, but essentially, it's a force that arises from the interaction between masses. The more massive the objects, the stronger the gravitational pull between them. This force is what keeps us grounded, what makes things fall, and what holds the Earth in its orbit around the Sun. In a world without gravity, the laws of motion would be completely different. Objects would not fall, but instead, they would float away, never to return. The concept of up and down would lose all meaning, as everything would be weightless, free to drift in any direction. The effects of gravity on our bodies would also be significant. Without the constant pull of gravity, our muscles would weaken, our bones would lose density, and our circulatory system would be severely impaired. Imagine being in a city like New York when gravity suddenly stops working. Skyscrapers would be crumbling, with glass and steel floating everywhere. Cars would be drifting through the air, crashing into buildings, and people would be screaming, trying to make sense of the chaos. In a place like the Grand Canyon, the lack of gravity would create a surreal landscape. Rocks and debris would be floating above the canyon, and the Colorado River would be flowing upwards, defying gravity. The scenery would be breathtaking, yet terrifying, as the rules of nature are turned upside down. In a world without gravity, even the simplest tasks would become massive challenges. Eating, drinking, and even breathing would be difficult, as the air would be filled with floating particles. The scenario would be even more dramatic in a location like a volcano, where the lack of gravity would cause molten lava to float upwards, creating a river of fire in the sky. The imagery would be both beautiful and terrifying, a reminder of the awe-inspiring power of nature. To summarize, the sudden disappearance of gravity would have catastrophic consequences for our planet and our lives. It's a reminder of the critical role gravity plays in our existence, and the stark reality of a world without it. What are your thoughts on this mind-bending scenario? Share your ideas in the comments below, and if you're curious about the effects of gravity, check out our next video, where we explore the strange and fascinating world of zero-gravity environments.